Hi class, how are you today? Good? Alright, I'm glad to hear it. So, let's get started. Last class's lesson had to do with jobs. What is a job? What are some of the jobs our parents have? What are some of the places that we go to do our jobs? So today we are going to continue with that, but instead of going over what a job is, we're going to go over some of the different types of jobs people have. Does anybody have any questions from last class? No? Okay. In that case, if you want to pull out your jump catch and speaking, we're going to start on Unit 1, page 14, which will look like this. Okay? Everybody there? Okay, good. So, we're going to do some exercises together, and then at the end of the class, we are going to do a group exercise. So if you look at part A, you'll see 4 pictures on the left-hand side and 4 words on the right-hand side which match to each picture. That's the name of the job for each of the people in the picture. So I'm going to give you a minute, and I would like you to try and match teacher to the picture of the teacher, doctor to the picture of the doctor, the police officer, and the pilot. Okay? Are you guys all ready? Okay. So, can somebody tell me what number 1 is? Sonia? Okay, you're right. It is the doctor. Good. And number 2? Right, just like me, it's a teacher. And number 3? It's a police officer. And finally, number 4? A pilot. Good. Okay. So does anybody know anyone that has one of these jobs? Oh, your dad's a pilot. Very cool. Okay. So let's move on. Now we're at B, places. So this is where the pilot or the police officer, the teacher, and the doctor go to work. So if you look on the side, you'll see hospital, police station, school, and airport, and then you'll see the pictures on the other side for each of these buildings. Okay, so now I would like you to match those words to the right picture. All set? Okay. So number 1, what do you think that is? You're right, it's a hospital. And who works at the hospital? A doctor. Good. Number 2 is the police station. And who works at the police station? The police officer. And number 3, I know this one's a little bit hard. You're right, it's the airport. You can see the airplanes in the background. And who works at the airport? The pilot. Awesome, guys. And number 4. We're in one right now. That's right. It's a school. And who works at the school? The teacher. Great, guys. Okay, so now let's move on to section C. Things they do. So, with the pilot, the police officer, the doctor, and the teacher, we're going to talk about what they do at their jobs. So, on the right-hand side, you'll see the words flies planes, helps sick people, teaches students, and catches thieves. And again, I'd like you to match those to the right picture. Okay? Good. Are you ready? Okay. So number 1, what would you say that is? Would you say it's a doctor? Okay. And what's the doctor doing? Helps sick people. Good. Number 2, Yes, we are doing it right now. Teaches students. And number 3, you're right. It's a police officer, and he's catching a thief, or catches thieves. And number 4, it's a pilot. So they're flying the plane, or flies planes. Okay? Are there any questions so far? You're good? Okay. Let's move on. So now we're going to talk about the jobs a little bit more. So you'll see at the top, there's A and B, and there are 2 questions. What is he? What is her job? So you need to choose the correct question for the correct answer. Okay? I'll give you a minute to get that done. Okay. Can anybody tell me what the correct question for number 1 is? Right. It's B. What is her job? She's a vet. Her means female, and in this case, if you look at the picture, it's a woman, and she's looking after a dog. Does anybody know what a vet is? It's a type of doctor. You're right, it's a doctor that looks after animals. Now let's look at number 2. What do you think the answer is? Okay, John, you're right. It's A. What is he? He's a scientist. Does anybody know what a scientist is? John again? Okay, tell me. You're right, he does experiments. And you can see that he's mixing some different things, so he's experimenting. Now let's look at part B. Let's talk about what people do. So once again, in this case we have the question, but you need to choose the answer. So your 2 choices are A. He bakes bread. B. A chef makes food in a restaurant. I'll give you a minute to choose the right answer. Okay, you ready? What would you say the answer for number 1 is? What does a baker do? Right, it's A. He bakes bread. And we say he as the subject because it is a man baking the bread. So for number 2, what would you say the right answer is? Question, what does a chef do? You're right. A chef makes food in a restaurant. Very good, guys. Okay. So, are there any more questions before we go to the next page? No, you understand the difference between a baker and a chef? Okay, good. So, now we're on to C. Let's talk about where people work. So again, you've got the 2 choices. A, where does the cashier work? B, where do you work? So you need to choose the right question that goes with the answer that is already given. So I'll give you a minute. Okay. Sonia, can you tell me the right answer, please? Okay. So for number 1, what would you say? B, where do you work? I work in a fire station. I am a firefighter. That's right, good job. What about number 2? Oh, where does the cashier work? She works in a supermarket. Does everybody know what a cashier is? Yes. That's somebody who usually works in a store, and they're the ones that check you out, right? So that's where you pay for what you're buying. Now let's go to D. Let's talk about you, okay? So, choose the right question for the answer which you get to make up, guys. So, what would you say number 1 is? That's right, it's B. Where do you want to work? And number 2 is what do you want to be? So I'm going to give you a minute, and you can talk to your neighbor, and then you can write down what you want to be and where you want to work. And then you're also going to share them with your neighbor, right? Okay. You guys all set? Okay. So, what do you want to be when you grow up, Scott? When you're a little bit older? You want to be a firefighter too. Okay. That's very cool. What about you, Stacy? Where do you want to work? You want to work in a bakery. That would be a fun job. Okay. So, do you guys feel good about this? You don't have any questions? No? Okay, so finally, we are going to do a picture study. So turn to the person next to you because you're going to need a partner for this. And you should see a picture that looks like this. And what would we say his job is? Is he a chef? Is he a fireman? No, you're right, he's a baker. So, if you look at part A, it says write down words and expressions you think of while looking at the picture. And then you'll move to section B with your partner and you'll answer the questions about the picture. And then you're going to share your answers with the rest of the class. Okay? And if you need any help, feel free to raise your hand, but I will be coming around to each group. Okay? Have fun, guys! Thanks, Avalon. Hope to hear from you soon. Bye!